Ooh, chat's popping already. I am super late. Well done, Blart, saying hello, Blind Eye. So, I'm sitting here in the TCC server. Mino is in the official podcast channel, which is locked and I can't get into. And Blart's sitting in the Random Chatter podcast, and I can't drag him to the post-show podcast, which is where I host this from. And I got my settings set up in. So I'm solo until Mino gets his life together because Ink is late. I don't know what's about to happen. So y'all are dealing with me solo dolo for now. Welcome everyone. This is the Ranting Hour where me and sometimes others rant for an hour. I do this weekly stream every Wednesday just because there's stuff that can get talked about and doesn't always make it into a video. So we just get it off our chests on the stream. You feel me? I hope everything sounds okay. If you're watching this after the fact and you aren't cool enough to be here in the live show, I'm kidding. It's okay. I understand people got different time zones, but please, if you are here or if you aren't here later on, go ahead and like the video for me. It helps out a ton, increases visibility and other bunch of helpful YouTube metrics. That stuff really is helpful. Like when I ask and seeing the likes go up is pretty crazy. Mino just pulled Blart and himself in here, so we got more people now. Hello, you two. We are live. Is that cool? You guys are not audible on stream right now, just so I can make sure. Yeah, you just got some noise in the background. But yeah, we are live, so I'm gonna turn you guys' audio on now. Hello.
Cool.
Where's the
like
chat? Why don't? Oh, there it is. I'm good.
Thanks, Brett Mooberry, for just subscribing. Oh, and Alphinaud's here too. Blart, you got some you got some noise in the background.
Oh, jeez. Let me see what I can do about it.
Okay, yeah. Hello, chat. I see you guys have been talking amongst yourselves. Fujin does suck. Oh, hey, Alphinaud.
Hello.
Howdy.
Any better now?
Yes, a lot better, actually. What was going on?
Cool.
Were you sitting next to a generator or something?
My laptop's on a fan because it overheats because it's really old, and I totally forgot to turn the thing off, and I think it's right next to the mic. So that was
yeah, that would do it.
Pro streamer move.
Nice. What's going on, bro? Hope you drink coffee, bruh. It's late. I'm not about to drink coffee when it's this late. Tweaking. You guys can hear everyone's voices on, right? We want violence. Hey, yo, chill. TC, I see you in chat. I was messing with that. I had so many. I said in my poll plans video that anyone who is a Kadaj fan deserves to be on a list, and I specifically had him in mind when I made that comment. Sounds like someone's cutting a tree next to him. Y'all are brutal. Who do we need to gem and ticket? Okay, y'all are conversing with yourself. Not gonna. So let me flip the images on while I fumble. Again, like the video. If you guys want to send me money via super chats and get up on the screen, you can do that too. It's always an option. Okay, bam. Did I set this up right? When Ink shows up, we're gonna have 6 people, and this is gonna be pure chaos. So we'll see how fun that is.
Is this the Lord of the Rings stream?
Shut up. So for context, Mino and Neclord have been trying to get me, my black ass, to watch Lord of the Rings, and as I confirmed with a bunch of my other buddies, black people don't watch Lord of the Rings. This is a joke for any idiots not detecting any that I'm joking, but I plan on watching it eventually. But that's context for that. Someone's getting a fade next to his mic. So.
We
What
already established that you speak for basically every black person.
Yeah, that is how it works. That is definitely how it works. And I don't just speak for all black. I speak for humanity as a whole, just because I'm better than everyone. So if I say something and it doesn't apply to you and you get offended, well, it's because I'm always right. So deal with it. Anyways, I kind of wanted to talk this week about how Fujin is horrible, and me and Ink were kind of going back and forth on the value of non-LD Bartz, and I kind of hinted at it in my poll plans video. We were talking about the auras difference, because I don't be looking at numbers, and that's becoming ever more apparent with the high armor plus stuff and all the convoluted garbage. And then Alfie here he don't be running artifacts, so this man don't care about numbers.
I'm just lazy. I've gotten better with artifacts now, as in
they at least have attack 108 when applicable and all that. But I'm just lazy at artifacts.
I just got here. Yeah, I joined the chat a while ago, but I just got here and chat's talking about Lord of the Rings. What did you say?
Neclord brought up that I hadn't seen Lord of the Rings, and I brought up the fact that I speak for all black people. I've been named Martin Luther Nero. Yep. All right, cool. I'll take it. Where was I going with that? Yeah.
Do you think they could rescue Fujin with a small? Oh wait, sorry, she doesn't have a costume.
Yeah, Fujin has no costume. Someone in my comments went like, "Oh, they could give her the Kingdom Hearts costume." One, that would be a downgrade. If they were to give us Kingdom Hearts costume, I'd probably just quit the game because I don't know what you got to be smoking to give us that. They don't even call her Fujin in that game, bro. They call her Fu. Like Fu isn't Fugazi. I mean, as in no, get her out of here.
Yeah, it'll also just make people ask for Sora even more.
Oh my god, that'd be
you add
unbearable
something
to Reddit
Kingdom
threads.
Hearts related.
Ink is on mute right now. Alfie, I know you wanted to talk about
What is
some
up?
Oh, hello. I know you wanted Alfie. You want to touch on some of the Doomer stuff. I know I've been mentioning it previously about how we're probably going to get some new power creep soon, and I'm expecting that stuff to rev up. What do you want to say on that?
About the current power creep? Well, first of all, during Machina's burst cycle, I find it absolutely hilarious that every character with Machina's burst got personal brave gain up, which is funny.
Did they really?
Yep. Pain has brave gain up for the party. Machina has 30% for himself. Snow has 30% for himself, and I think Ursula has 30% for herself.
No, her name is banned. We're not talking about Ursula because Mino's gonna like nut himself. Let's not do that. Gross.
I don't know if Ursula actually has brave gain up, but she does set the party's bravery to max with her S2.
It's a brave game. Yeah, that is funny. Ifrit's gonna be funny. I'm hoping we get Warrior Lights burst or burst plus on that.
I don't know who it could be, but I am excited for Ifrit. If you were to ask me, all these recent Livinia pluses have been pretty simple in terms of mechanics.
Yeah, I agree. So that means it's every time people call something easy, it's like a reverse spirit bomb. They put their hands up in the air and they give negative energy to make the whatever boss is next horrible.
I mean, you think every new tier of difficulty is like the equivalent of a fucking Umbral Calamity in 14.
Okay,
the way it's
wow. Please don't reference.
He's flexing the fact that he's caught up in 14. That's right.
That's
why he made that specific reference. Don't mind him. Ink, what were you gonna say?
I don't know. Neclord threw me off now. Dreamy was trying the Snow intertwined wells because someone basically gifted their account to us so that we could do like future research, and Dreamy was going crazy. He must have tried that Snow intertwined wells like 10 times with BT plus and all sorts of characters, and he kept getting screwed by the 55 turn count.
It was 55. You know what? I must have not noticed because I was using Machina. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that
whoops.
I think that you all are probably like seasoned into the Loop Plus era and like these characters, and that's why it's not bad. But for someone who's just jumping in, like Dreamy kept getting to like 3% on the boss at turn 55.
Yikes.
Alfie, just to address, since you were bringing it up, I looked it up. What's her face? Ursula doesn't have Brave Gain up. She has Brave Gain overflow for the party, just a little bit. And the S2 battery's based on her current Brave, so it doesn't max out Brave. So I guess it just gives the party her current Brave, is what it says.
I was reading the compendium server. She has some sort of a different way of applying that. I barely looked at the game today, but I don't know how Ursula works at all. I'm skipping the fuck out of her.
She seems really interesting.
Okay.
I don't know how strong she's actually going to be, but I'm saying like they really loaded her up with mechanics. Like compared to FF4 roster is infamous for having extremely simple mechanics. They even said that's by design, right? Like all the FF4 characters have super basic kits. Even Sayador, and then Ursula though seems to have a lot of fucking nuance in her kit.
Nah, she's basic. Fuck that.
It looks fun. I'm tempted.
No, don't do it.
I'm personally tempted.
Don't do it. She's the Rydia analog to
I'm doing
level
it.
90.
I'm doing it.
Gross. Twins friend plus Lena trivialized it. Yeah, I've heard that the condition's pretty easy to bypass. Yeah, y'all got it.
It's a very easy orb.
Y'all got it. Stop saying easy. That's a curse word. Even I said it. I slipped up.
Okay, fine. It's an
Simple. Like in Tropic Thunder. Simple Jack, simple orb.
it's an easy orb, right? We're not saying easy fight. but
No,
it's an easy
the word is
condition to
cursed,
beat.
bro. I'm telling you. Every okay, all right. Well, we're gonna get hoed by effort. Thanks for that.
It's
like-
the Bloody Mary of words, basically. You're
What's
summoning...
really? Oh, go ahead, Blart.
Oh no, I had nothing to finish that with. You're summoning something bad. I mean, if you don't play JP, then go ahead and say it because you're not gonna have to deal with the consequences. But for BC and Alfie, maybe you should, for their sake, maybe scale it back.
I'm just saying it's so funny that whenever somebody's orb is easily met, like let's say Italian and Deuce LC that we just had in GL, right? Everyone's like, oh, okay, well you don't need the character to do their own event, which means you don't need the character ever. And that happens a lot. Happened with X-Death, happened with Beatrix. Like anytime someone's like, well, that's why I don't feel bad when people say Lufania is getting restrictive. They're like, oh my god, they're pushing us to pull this character. It's because when they don't push you to pull the character, the community's like, this character's shit, like Mog, right? Oh, you can just Yuffie cheese that. Why the fuck would I pull Mog? Fuck that shit.
4K.
I said to BC, maybe the orb on Reigns' event was so restrictive because the devs knew how strong Reigns was going to be, and they wanted to force people to pull him so that future content would be easier.
That's such a convoluted theory for such a complicated company. No thank you.
You what's that meme? You play yourself, like just think yourself into corners. Like nobody's playing 4D chess here. The DFFOO devs are playing checkers, and you're here.
It's not even checkers. They're just walking in a straight line down a hallway.
They're playing Connect 4, and you're over here trying to like guess yourself into corners.
Just saying it's possible.
Okay, so Ink, I know we wanted to entertain the notion of LD9 over LD Bartz, and also Fujin does suck. Alfie, I wanted to ask you real quick. I looked at your 9 lost chapter video. You did not have Fujin's LD, right? You just used her EX only.
I had her LD, but I didn't have LD boards.
That was it. Okay, so you had a half-ass Fujin who was enough to get through the fight, right?
Pretty much. I think I had Caius and Terra, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I just found it so funny that you don't even need Fujin's new weapon to do the Lufenia that's selling her. It just kind of highlights how kind of yikes her LD is, honestly. And have you heard any of my takes on the whole anti-pull Fujin with Bartz thing?
I did not. I have not been keeping up with things recently.
I've been saying like that's kind of overblown, and why not just bring a real enchanter? Like, I know people I've talked to personally who had Bartz and didn't have his burst. He kind of just died for them kind of near after, because the whole enchant gimmick was cool and he had the gravity, but if you didn't have those like stacked burst aura that lasted forever, it was kind of like whatever, you know?
Right, but also I think now that like the value of Fujin with Bartz went down just because of Bart's burst plus giving party aura and wind enchant. So there's less of a reason to get Fujin now. And even then, if you want to do Fujin call, Bart's Fujin call, Fujin's regular call does wind enchant, I believe. So you don't like her LD call was really just another enchant opportunity.
Double tap it, yeah. Grand Ruby says, because of your video, I'm gonna yell at YouTubers who try to push Fujin Bartz. Don't yell at them. Do like I said and ask them where this is going to be useful over just bringing a regular enchanter, and ask them if they're going to do it themselves, because if it's advice that they're not going to follow, then it's kind of empty. Skin in the game.
Yeah, and they won't make an apology video a month later, will they?
Haha! I love being able to take the high ground.
You'll just feel sorry for yourself having pulled on their advice. That's how the sorry works.
I mean, the question ultimately is how many people, right? So let's say that most players, right, predominantly are going to pity Tifa this month, right?
Yeah.
If you don't get Bartz along the way, either you're going to pity Tifa or you're going to go to 125k so that you have a chance to pity Bartz's BT. But then if you're doing that, you then need to go on Bartz's LD banner and guarantee his LD banner, which is another 75k. So BC, you definitely have it saved up. I've got it saved up. Mino's got it if we wanted to do that. But I think most players probably don't have 200k in the tank to just go guarantee that they get a BT and LD right now. And it feels like people are either going to have to force themselves to mix or are going to have basically an underwhelming version of Bartz with his LD only.
Yeah.
Good. Call the week. I'm ready for another month of quit posts on Reddit. I'm so ready for 2 more threads about how Lufania forces you to pull. I linked a comment in the mod chat, I deleted it, but like some guy in that Doom posting thread was like, you have enough resources to maybe play DFFOO free to play for a year tops, but after that you have to spend money to keep up with pulling synergy for every event. And I'm saying, like, good. May this month crush all of these fucking. We need more fucking quit. I have a whole mini rant about all these people announcing they're quitting on Reddit and saying, like, they preface it with, oh, by the way, before I say I quit, I'm a day 1 player who's beaten all content and I have 750k gems, but I'm gonna quit because Lufania is getting too restrictive. That just tells me you're having to spend more fucking resources and you don't like seeing your stash dwindle down, even though you have... Oh, go ahead.
You've really touched on something key here, because it was brought up earlier that the devs in JP are basically, they're just going in a straight line down a corridor, right? That's all they're doing. But this is a lot of GL players don't seem to appreciate. We are in this same corridor, but I think it's because it's just they're looking down the corridor and they just see Squex Josh. He's in a matador costume. He's got this little red bit of cloth,
You idiot.
and it's blocking the view down the corridor. We can't see. It's like, oh, look at the stream with this content.
It's like that scene in Austin Powers where the steamroller is going like a mile per hour across the factory floor. The guy's just screaming, right? And Austin Powers like, get out of the way, get out of the way. It's like a 10-minute scene of steamrollers slowly moving across the room.
They make these cope posts as if they don't have the foresight of like 8 months ahead of them to like actually prepare.
Now, to
somewhat.
be fair, devil's advocate, not everyone wants to look ahead and use a strategy guide to figure out what stuff is good. So that's not if you don't pay attention to the call to arms, you don't know what's good. Mino is just being mean.
I think that's different.
No. To counter because,
I'll go here. I think that's different only because this isn't just like a game you buy for fucking $60, or I swear it's like $70 now, isn't it, these days? But anyway, you buy a full game and you play the game, and like that's the game. And you don't want to spoil the challenges ahead because you can use things in the game and spend time.
I have no idea what you just said.
But with Dffoo, if you don't spoil, the content coming ahead and plan appropriately, it's probably going to cost you more money, not more time to grind. It's like you fucked up your resources, and you could have, looked ahead and made a bit more, intelligent choices.
I don't like that logic. Go ahead, Blart. Go ahead.
Oh, fuck. I think that there's like kind of a bit of a disconnect going on there. Not with what Nick was saying, but I was thinking about the players the theoretical person who wants to beat the highest level content, but also doesn't want to be spoiled as to what's coming down the pipe. Because what they're basically saying is, I want to kind of handicap myself, and still, it's like, what's the guy's name? Slide, like, someone being like, I have to bring Laguna through every fight, and if I can't do it, then it's because it's the game's fault and I'm quitting. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. It's like you have resources at your disposal to make the goal you've achieved, beating Lufania, easier, such as using foresight, planning your pulls, and you don't want to do that, and so you don't want to use the resources at your disposal to achieve your goal, and then when you fail to achieve your goal, you're like, that's the game's fault, it is a bad game, I'm quitting, and that just kind of feels like I don't know. It feels like you're having like
what I wanted to say, but better. So thank you for saving.
Yes, thank you. You definitely saved Neclord's ass there because he was on a bad path. Good.
I was about to get my ass blasted.
I was rubbing my hands together. Like, oh boy,
I'm still gonna blast him, BC.
I don't know. Blart phrased it so well. Again, God, this man's eloquent.
No. Don't. It's a Facebook argument of you should have looked ahead.
Yes, that's exactly that is what Neclord did. And I was about to slap the shit out of him for that because that's not it.
Yeah, my accent didn't save me from it being dumb.
The only thing, BC, before I toss it back to you to slap him down, is the problem is all of these quit posts. You go look at all of these posts, and they cite like I'm already unhappy with the game, and Loof Plus looks even worse. So
yes,
before it gets
God,
there. They
and
all say that. They all say
Mm,
that.
God
Yeah.
damn! And this
But,
this
you
happens
can blame
every
Kiwi.
month. Every
Yeah,
time
you can-
JP
you can-
gets
you can-
something new, this
you can
happens. Oh
blame
look, goddamn
Kiwi.
time.
You can blame Kiwi, you can blame Jet Stingren, but the point is, it's not just that they're dissatisfied with the game now. They're also citing, oh well, we have 8 months foresight, and it's only getting scarier. So I'm gonna jump off this train before it gets tough.
Yeah.
And like the Refined Spheres guy said that, and the Doom post of the State of Lufania now said it. Look at those original posts. Halfway through, they all say, and Loof Plus looks even worse, so I don't even want to deal with
They don't
that.
even like the dude who was like, yeah, you couldn't use Sid Reigns for 2 months. What the fuck was he smoking? I don't get it. Like, these guys are living in a completely different reality. It's so annoying.
I think what people fail to consider, especially when looking ahead, is content gets harder moving forward, but at the same time, power creep gets even higher.
Yeah.
Like we get a lot of offensive options. Like right now, we have so many good DPSs, right? Like I see Vayne getting used a lot still. Twins, Ace,
Zidane still going just fine.
Zidane,
Saban. Yep.
Yep, Saban.
Saban. And like I think people just completely overlook it. Like they're looking ahead in the context of the current power scale of global. And I think that's why a lot of people are doom posting Lufenia
And
Plus.
it really does feel like these are people that haven't been playing long, because we've seen this happen where if it's hard to explain to people who joined after early chaos that the beginning of chaos was doom posted just the same, if not worse. It's
Not saying the same if you want to look at that, BC, because Silocon is saying Kiwi didn't say that exactly, but I'm sure he's completely reversed his mindset now. Nah, go watch that fucking video. He's like, I know people are saying it's the same as early chaos, but it's not. And then later he's like, okay, yeah, it was the same as early. It's like, give it a fucking month, dude. He made that video a month and a half into Lufania Plus.
Early Lufenia Plus is rough, but it's nothing like early chaos.
nothing. Any JP player agrees with that pretty much. I think it's pretty much unanimous that this was not nearly as, and even in hindsight, it was really just the reductions that felt like ass. Like as soon as some of the units caught up, it was like, all right, we're good now.
Yeah, honestly, I think maybe people might have been a bit spoiled by the transition from Chaos to Lufenia, because that felt really that was a really tame transition to make, and even like the Lufenias that felt like kind of crappy, those were very specific corner cases that weren't like, the game is doomed. Like the Sephiroth imps, it's like, okay, that sucked, but it's not the state of the game is now permanent damage rates. It was like, okay, that fight sucked. The 9 fight, okay, that fight sucked. I don't know. I missed the jump to Chaos, so maybe I can't speak to that, but like it does feel like people at least maybe relatively newer players just kind of got spoiled by a very kind of successful transition from Chaos to Lufenia, and they're like, that's how it's supposed to transition, and then they see Luf to Luf Plus, and they're like, oh shit, everything's ruined, they don't know what they're doing now.
Yeah, I think the reason why Chaos to Lufenia felt so smooth was because before Lufenia dropped, we had like 3 months to pull for LDs and bursts to get ready for it, whereas opposed to Lufenia Plus, it dropped alongside burst pluses, like the next power level up.
Yeah, when you consider early chaos, like the hard events, like, oh, if you want to do Garland's chaos, you need Warrior of Light, who's synergy. You don't need him, but he makes it a hell of a lot easier. You want to do Soul Cage, you better have Kuja or Lilithset. You want to do Agrius Lost Chapter.
We have a slice of history in the Call to Arms. Just look at the diversity for those fights.
Yeah,
man, Soul Cage was really bad for that shit.
Yeah, like people and Ultimisha, you needed Ultimisha because we didn't have the tools built up in our roster yet. So we had to pull for the new tool that was made available. And if you don't want to pull, then you're gonna struggle with it. That's exactly what happened in early chaos.
Yeah, if you think about it, like the mechanic of starting with buffs alone was such a jump. Like I swear it was like Alphinaud was like the only one with it. Alizé I think had it as well.
Yeah, only a few people have buff started. That's weird.
And it was it was like generic Max Brave stuff, but we were just getting frames and shit like right from the get-go. There was no ramp up time anymore for some of these units if you 3-3'd them. Which brings me on to a really curious comment from Nick the Ninja about Tidus. in early chaos. Did he destroy early chaos? Like he did good in a few fights.
Destroy is an overstatement.
But like, yeah, even at 3-3, because like everyone competed, right? The YouTubers were like, he's good at 2-3.
He performed fine, but I wouldn't say he completely made it irrelevant.
So everyone was running a 2-3 Tidus on the advice of a lot of YouTubers. So I don't think a 2-3 Tidus would be destroying much early chaos, to be honest.
I think for people that didn't have Cloud, like especially during our research, like I was tempted to get Tidus. I didn't have a ZX from its first run, and I wasn't going to pull that banner, the cursed banner. But like people that didn't go for Cloud, that went for Tidus, it felt like they did fine. I'm one of those people, so I can so many events, and it wasn't just from the Tai Chi Games guy. Like other people used Tidus in early chaos.
Yeah, like Har's in the chat, the biggest Tidus fan on the planet. Tidus hasn't destroyed anything since its early 35 CP drop. Facts. Is that true? I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true. I think his time traveled EX Plus is pretty good.
Yeah. So you guys in the stream, I have a video still in the tank. I took a bunch of screenshots from way past eras, and I blanked out what people were talking about. And you really can't tell what people are talking about. It's literally people posting the same exact. Like I have a quote from early chaos from exactly 2 years ago that says, "Wow, this game. There's no way this game lasts for 2 more years." Like it's a bunch of stuff like that that doesn't age very well, and people forget they make these comments. So just looking back on it,
there's some good time capsules out there.
Yeah. The internet's forever, and it's not always easy to remember that. I know someone mentioned the warping, and I want to do another JP retro stream this weekend because that was actually really funny. But I want to talk about the warping fights specifically during that, and I don't think the warping fights were all that bad. I think it was more like you had to slam on the brakes and let bosses get turns. And the biggest issue with the warping fights, and Alfie, you can back me up if you agree, was that we had a hard time knowing what turn they were going to warp on. Like if they had, on a Transcendent 6 with the launch orb where you had to launch 3 times in a row and they had an indicator, I think if we had one of those on the warping bosses to know when to ease up, I think it would have been leagues easier.
It will be a lot easier, but you can also just like count it yourself. The turns and actions you take.
Listen, that's asking for a lot.
Alfie, I've been trying to count my actions in like the recent GL stuff, like with the birds and things, and it turns out I'm really bad at counting.
Yeah, Alfie, I disagree. Even MMO raiders have a robot that counts for them because they can't count to 5 when to do mechanics.
That's some weird number. Like wasn't it on the Vayne boss? Wasn't it like if you get 12 turns in a row? Like who's trying to count to 12? I don't got 12 fingers. I got 10 fingers. Why'd they make it 12? Like
they do 10 and 12 really frequently though.
It's very strange.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering players get a storm counter on screen to count how many spells they've cast so far.
I know nothing about that nerd game, and I don't want to know.
It's very
screen. You mean like how do they do it in person?
With a die, but still.
So you could do that for these fights too, yeah.
I mean,
sure. play DFF
in like early League of Legends, the jungles used to.
Back in my day, when we did vanilla LC, we had a pencil and a paper, and we marked down.
This is a phone game. I shouldn't need accessories to play the damn game.
That's the appeal of board games. People were like, why don't they make board games all digital? And they're like, because some people like to use their hands to count.
Chat's being idiot. I can use my D12 on the mission dungeon. Oh, that was a good one. Okay.
The Transcendence 2 counter was 10, not 12 or 14. Answering
See,
chat.
the fact that nobody knows should highlight that nobody wants to fucking count.
And the game really should say, like, either say it one way or the other. Either give us a counter so that we can figure out that it's 10 turns.
Yeah.
Or in the boss description, say enters killer mode for 10 turns.
It's really interesting that you bring that up, Ink, because I was thinking about that in terms of like other hardcore MMOs and like RPGs, and when we're talking like FF14, the only difficulty is keeping track of that stuff that they don't explicitly tell you, because otherwise you can read a script and just play through that, right? But it's like, how much information is too much information for the player when it's like, hey, this move's coming up, this is what you got to do. Like, if the parrot said just stall for 10 turns and then this white wings will go away, is that too much?
No. Not if they say
it's interesting. It depends on the context, I think, and I don't think with the parrots it would be. It reminds me of back during my dark times when I used to play League of Legends. God help me. It used to the jungle spawns. There was no timer, so like if you were to be like a good competent jungler, you have to like manually, pen and paper, notepad, something like that, and track it. And they introduced the time, like actual physical timers that everyone could see globally. And on the one hand, people were like, oh, the quote-unquote good junglers were priding themselves on the fact that they were tracking this minutia mentally, and they were able to keep track of this extra detail that was an extra layer of difficulty. But once they equalized that, then it came down to actually using that information to make informed decisions and make decisions based on that, rather just who's better at counting and retaining information, which the game shouldn't just be a rote test.
That's fair, but to counter, that's a PvP example. Like, that's evening the playing field between two opponents directly facing off. Whereas you have to artificially inflate the difficulty when it's PvE. Because the computer has no advantage, it cannot adapt to you. It's just a set script.
That's fair, but how much of the fight... I guess it comes down to a kind of preference question of how much of the fight should be figuring out what the boss does and how much of it should be figuring out how to deal with what the boss does. It's one thing to be like, okay, I have to, why are, like, for instance, with the Humbabas, they had the thing where they frame their turns and you have to stall them out, and knowing that going into that isn't the problem. You know about that. You have to manage your resources that your team has. You have to be like, okay, they're going to do this several times. Do I have enough AAs to stall it? Do I have characters with high turn rate who can jump? You know what you need to deal with it. You have to take the resources you have and marshal those to tackle the problem that you understand. It's not about like, oh, they turned pink. What does this even mean? What are they going to do? Am I going to die? How do I deal with pink? Like, I'm reading the Alexander description on Tombridge Troop, and I'm like, they have how many auras? They do what? And I'm still like kind of like my eyes are going cross reading it, and this is with the information in front of me. And again, it is subjective, but that's kind of my take on it. Is it should be about understanding how to deal with the problem in front of you, not figuring out what the problem is.
Yeah, it is subjective. I'll throw it back to the others because we're hogging the team. But I feel like it really is up to the devs, because like if you look at FF, I've been talking to some people during the pandemic touching FF10 for the first time, and every single Seymour fight in FF10 is a big fuck you. Yes. You wipe once to learn the mechanics, right? And like they won't tell you what to do. Like one of the Seymour fights will be like, we're turning you to stone, we're breaking you, zombie, done. And then like who doesn't wipe to like Seymour Flux the first time, right? He's like infamous.
I remember someone claiming that you got him on the first try. I don't remember who capped that hard.
Because like he has an insta kill mechanic. He has an insta-kill mechanic that just blindsides you and you don't see coming. Like, that's such an infamous boss fight because everyone wipes to that at least once. Or, like, even the final one, right? Where if you don't hit the right element, you get wiped. Like FF has a huge history of this, and I feel like JRPGs and PvE RPGs all have this surprise mechanic for their difficulty, because otherwise, like, there is such a thing as too much hand-holding where they're like, hey, Seymour Flux, my tail is raised, you better fucking, be ready to counter zombie, and...
attack when the tail's up.
Yeah, at what point is it just not a game and you're just being micromanaged at your job, right? Like,
I will say, Seymour Flux is bullshit because you have to sit through this like long ass fucking cutscene every time.
So
at least do it without the cutscene. Like, come on, like if you know it's bullshit.
Sax King. Oh, speaking of which, that reminds me of the Kingdom Hearts 1 final boss. I forgot. I remember the final boss in Kingdom Hearts 1 had some insane bullshit mechanic. On the highest difficulty, and people always memed about watching that cutscene a million times. Such a long cutscene. But Sax King in chat is right. Unalesca was another bullshit boss. where it seems like a normal boss fight at first, and then halfway through, mass zombie, mass full revive. Like, wait, I didn't buy any fucking items to cancel.
Yeah,
well,
so
since you branched into
let's move
Kingdom
on
Hearts,
from. No, we are way off the rails. way off the
I was
rails.
going to throw one
This
example
started
for the
with
people that know it.
Bartz versus 9 in the LD stuff. I wanted to talk about that. Ink, help.
Yeah, well, I was going to say let's audible to the fact that Fujin sucks. But
absolutely.
I mean, okay,
Audible.
if we break... So I'm still going back to the fact that if players don't have 200K that they're willing to spend for Bartz, like worst case scenario, and the idea of spending anything on Bartz at that point is probably wasteful. You have so many more better supports than Bartz, and you probably have the utility that you need to get through like the instant break / 100% gravity. I know Bartz is gravity, 100% gravity, but you probably have those tools at your disposal from your roster. If you don't, then okay, sure. You can pull Bartz for the fact that he has the 100% brave reduction. But outside of that, you're never going to touch him unless you have his BT.
More than likely, yeah.
And 200K is a tall order. You save that for favorites, for your prized possessions. Are you really, especially when people are getting through BT Plus and Loot Plus content with Sid Reigns and with all these other characters, do you really want to spend 200K on somebody like that? That I feel like people need to figure that out. I know, like BC, I know you're planning to pity Bartz BT.
Yeah, that dude's too clutch.
But a lot of people, the tokens expired at Garland. So like if you didn't claim any Transcendence tokens, if you didn't convert your free Mog Pass, the premium Mog Pass, if you just completed everything, your 50 tokens expired at the end of Garland. So most players are either they have so many dupes that they're already planning their second. Are you going to spend it on Bartz, or are you instead going to save it for Cloud of Darkness or any of the other people coming up? Like, I feel like I don't know, it feels like a tall order because most of the other people that have, and check me here, please, but it feels like Bartz has to be one of the most reliant people on his BT out of all of the BT holders we've ever had.
Yeah, I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's pretty reasonable. And it's a shame that Paladin Cecil and his burst had so much traction behind it. But and Paladin Cecil works spectacularly burstless, but Bartz not too much, I don't think. So I think that's definitely going in the right direction. I know you know the exact edge that, and for the people not clued in, we're just talking on a purely on an aura standpoint. Because one of the most annoying things that happened with Rude specifically was Rude is hyped for his auras when he really should have been hyped for his overheal mechanic. And when Kieran had clearly better auras. So auras are unfortunately a buzzword at the moment. But if you're looking for raw numbers and raw utility, raw help your party out, 9 definitely edges out Bartz. I think pretty much objectively. Alfie, you were going to say something?
Did people really say Rude had like really good auras?
Bro.
Yes.
Bro.
They said he had some of the best auras in the game.
What? You can't believe it! Because it's ridiculous, isn't it? Oh my god.
I mean, you could give him a hint of generosity and say HP up, like as an aura. But even then, it's just like, really?
Yes, that is a thing that happened.
So of the auras that matter, and I'm not saying that we're not saying that Bartz's auras are bad by any means.
Yes,
they're perfectly fine. But we have gotten so many characters, especially in GL, thanks to Balthier and Sarah. We have way more brave and HP damage up characters. So 9 has a higher attack aura than Bartz. He has more brave damage up than Bartz. He has more max brave than Bartz. Bartz beats him in overflow because Bartz has 40 stolen and 20 gained, and 9 only has 20 stolen. But 9 has 100% crit rate. Obviously, a lot of 9's auras are locked behind the fact that the party has to take HP damage, but his auras are that much better that if anyone says anything about how strong Bartz's auras are, that is not a reason to pull Bartz. They are not special versus Sarah or Paladin Cecil or even Balthier.
Yep.
They are not special. They are average.
I gotta interrupt you to tell you that someone in chat is saying Carlos Enrique Lopez shout out saying he has 200k gems, but he's gonna throw 40k gems at Bartz to see what happens.
No.
Why 40?
You are throwing away G tokens, so your 300k.
He chose violence on stream.
No! Your 200k is a certain amount of G tokens. If you partially spend, you are literally throwing out the single most valuable, and it actually has monetary value too, because you can pay money for gems. You are throwing away money. It is pure gambling.
Wow. Violence. Chose violence.
Total violence.
Jesus
Do not spend gems unless you are willing to
Carlos
do 75k.
is new. Calm down. Hey, sometimes you got to get a beating to remember these things. He's never gonna forget the Tomberry Troop guy beating his ass on stream. He's never gonna mix gems ever again. He's gonna be like, let me just press the gem button, and he's gonna hear, never do that ever, and then just not do it.
But that's you should know the reason, right? The reason is you are throwing away the most valuable resource in the game based on luck. So you're gambling. If you like doing that, there's plenty of people that do it, but know that you're not maximizing it. They've given us a pity system. You should try to use it. Even people that mix gems and tickets, even they will generally say, oh, I always make sure I have 75k, because if I'm pulling the banner, yeah, I may throw 300 tickets or 600 tickets beforehand and try to get it, but then I'll go to my gems and I'll pity it if I have to. Like, even
first, sorry, shout out to Amir Stevens, who's paying for the super chat.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, he said the meme of Realm being the prize of the banner over Strago is worse than the Rude meme. Probably.
Agreed.
Yeah, that was almost embarrassing.
Yeah, and Ink follow-up, Carlos says, I only say that because I have god luck. I get burst with tickets.
No. Please don't let Ink go on this tangent. We know luck is...
All I'm gonna say is look up results-oriented decision making. Just Google that. It's a common fallacy among poker players that tend to lose a lot of money.
Yes, you win a lot until you lose the one time, and it's catastrophic. Nidre says the most valuable resource in the game is a crystal mutual. Just gonna leave it at that. He's been being a dumbass in fact the whole time. That was the funniest thing he said so far, though. Oh my god. We were okay. Back to 9. The way I came at it. Go ahead.
Want to potentially play devil's advocate, but I'm gonna need some context from the guys who've actually. This is gonna start. I guess the thing I'm wondering, what other characters are coming down the pipe who can potentially get around Imperil immunity? Because I know part of the reason I pulled Hope in the first place was that his magic Imperil could dodge a lot of the elemental Imperil stuff to find. I don't know if that holds true going forward, and because I know right now the Bartz Fujin thing is a little bit hokey to me, even though I love both characters. But if that's one of the few ways to get around Imperil immunity, should that be something you want to do? Is that going to be like one of the only ways to do it, or?
As far as Aura Imperil goes, as far as I can remember, the only two other people that do it are Vaughn with his LD extension and rework, and Jekt.
It's also
selfish, they're both selfish only when they're attacking. Yeah. They're not actually a party constant Imperil.
The way you get around Imperil immunity is don't bring element characters who rely on element damage. Just bring someone else. Yeah. It's so rare that it's really not something worth.
It is rare. We did the research. It's like 2 fights.
Yeah. Like bring Golbez, got it.
2 fights.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well just do Ignis Jekt anyway, right?
Right.
if you look at like cool. Chaos Bahamut, LBT's fight is Imperil immune and has a high resistance to magic. So yes, if you want to bring Terra, okay, you're going to need Bartz with Fujin Call. You will need that because otherwise she's not getting through it. And you also need someone to stun the boss. It's ridiculous. Or if you just want to go the easy route, just bring Tifa and melt the boss down. So you don't need to go. You're basically trying to construct a Rube Goldberg machine with Bartz and Fujin versus just like throwing yeah, like just doing it very straightforwardly. So
Yeah, Drez for $5 is.
I hear
"Hey,
that.
did you
I'm
really
just
let me get this out the way. Did you really tell Joe you don't
yeah.
care if people mix gems and tickets? This is a yes or no answer, and then we can move immediately on from that because I don't know.
did I tell somebody it's okay to mix? I did not. No.
Okay, there you go. Okay, back to you, Blart.
I said
There we
even
go.
mixers agree that you need 75K.
All
That's
right.
all I said.
So really, I think it comes down to whether you're a Johnny, a Tammy, or a Spike as to whether or not that's of any interest to you. I think is my hearing about the
Yes.
Rube Goldberg machine thing. Because I think fundamentally the way you should play the game, probably economically speaking, is probably just pull Tifa.
He's not
That's my
wrong.
pay this month.
He's not wrong. Tifa's ridiculous. Tifa is actually
Tifa's-
ridiculous.
Is it her skill 1, right? That is the same as Kuja's LD.
Single
Her
target.
plus version.
Single target. And with enough
So
battery.
it's better.
With enough battery and modifiers beforehand, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just Squex, if you're listening, just make an abyss really tailored to Tifa, and yeah, thanks.
It'll be a Divine Alexander, but without the Gladio cheese.
Oh god. There's
Don't
no
you put
way.
that evil on me, Alfie.
It's gonna need
Don't
purple
speak that.
crystal.
Oh shit!
Oh my god.
You're forced to bring unique weapon type.
Don't give him ideas, man.
Oh. We spoke into existence last time. Skip Tifa, pull Reigns. That's true. Save for Reigns. Everyone's going save for Reigns. Yeah, save for Reigns. Why pull anyone until Reigns? Well, what I was gonna say before was the way I came about 9 is that Imperial immunity I don't think is a very Aura Imperial I don't think is a very valuable role to cover, and Ink likes covering things in terms of role coverage. So I know we'll probably like this, but 9 there's at least 2 recent range orbs in JP. It was Kane's Intertwined Will, and then it was Fran's LD Lost Chapter thinger. There's damage mitigation orbs. There's 9 fulfill heal orbs, probably not, but like crit orbs, and 9 gives the crit rate. I think that's also on Transcendence 4. So not only does 9 have the utility for the party, and by virtue of having the utility for the party, he's also got wide orb coverage potentially. And it's not just theoretical orb coverage. Like I don't think there's any like wind orbs in the future outside of Transcendence 5, in which you can bring Bart's Call. You don't need Bart's goddamn LD to do that goddamn stage. But other
Yeah, you
than
need
that,
his BT.
I will
Who would
destroy
use
you.
Bart's LD in a fight after Synergy?
Someone who needed to beat Transcendence 5. I think they
really
removed the
Bart
Gladio
LD
cheese from
only.
JP. No.
And-
What they didn't remove it. They quote unquote patched it, and all they did was just add break game reduction at the start of the fight.
Yes.
Which it's still possible due to Gladio cheese, and I
Yes.
find that hilarious.
So what we don't know, and I wanted to bring this up. What we don't know is whether encouragement armor is going to get boosted or not, because currently in GL it is broken. It does not work. So encouragement armor does nothing. So they're either going to patch it with the updated JP number, or they're going to say it's broken, we're leaving it, and not touch it. And I don't know if Gladio, I didn't ask any JP players to actually test out, because Gladio got upgrades also from his LD board, I guess. I don't know what they were. I didn't research it yet. But I don't know if Gladio can still cheese Divine Alexander without the encouragement keystone.
I got address this in chat because I mean I don't play JP, but this doesn't sound right. Grand Ruby saying Bartz needs the LD because that's where the Imperial comes from.
I think he's
Pretty sure the
trolling.
Imperial comes
I'm pretty sure. I think he's trolling. Yeah.
from- Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Also, TC, I saw you mention that why you do me dirty like that because it was funny. That's why. Kadaj fans are going on a list, bro. Y'all are not to be trusted. Is it possible to get Global First LD this month if you're new? No. If they're not on a banner, you can't get them.
Well, we may get a global first LD. Hey, Alphinaud, does the summer festival? Did you look at the artwork on the GL summer festival?
Oh my god,
banner?
you need to stop listening to Dreaming. Stop.
I did not.
Stop.
I'm-
Wait, no,
I'm curious
no.
if-
We talked. I took a peek in TCC server on Gen Chat. I remember he was talking about how it was like an area in 14 or something. For
Yeah,
the
I feel.
background art.
Yeah, no, I was just curious if you thought it looked familiar or you thought it was a stretch.
It's a stretch, in my opinion.
That's a joke, right?
I'm hopeful, but not expecting.
I'm hopeful that it was a
Like,
joke.
like Dreamy's being ironic, because I want to say, knowing Dreamy for as long as I have, I think 0.5 of his out of 10 predictions come true. Sorry, no, zero out of 10.
No, he was on the Sarah LD train, wasn't he?
Okay.
He was,
All right,
yeah.
So 0.5 out of 10.
He also was the person that said, I really hope that he definitely said it like a year ago, that I hope Jegrin gets the BT for the Crystal Chronicles.
Oh, hell no. All right, we got to blame him for that one. Oh.
He actually played that game and he loves
Oh,
it.
of course he has.
Yeah, he and Loken would get along really well because obviously Loken came back for Jegrin.
Oh my god. My brain trembles. So yeah, 9 is great. I wish I ran him more. I'm gonna try and run him more in global, honestly. And Fujin is really bad. 30, like she has Sarah's Brave Regen aura on her attacks. Just
yeah, it's only on her
acts, right? It's only when she acts on her turn.
Yeah, and it's when she specifically hits weakness damage. So if the Imperil fell off or something,
it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
The worst part is that there's also just universally bad information going around. Like yesterday in main chord, they were like, Fujin doesn't battery on any of her skills, which is also wrong because of that LD buff. When she's hitting weakness, she batteries on everything she does. However, she needs that up. So there's just a lot of bad info going around. I think it's also really bad if you actually lay out skills. If you count how many skills somebody has and you compare their EX recharge, minimum, not average, minimum is 30 turns. Most characters can spam their skills for 30 turns in this era. Fujin has a whopping 25. So she has 25, which means she needs to use HP++ more, or you need to shorten the quest length.
Bring bigger damage.
And she didn't get a free skill use on her LD. She has 3 uses of it. Didn't get a free skill use. Most characters would get a free skill use. That would bump her to the 31 range. She'd be much better off, but she didn't. So they definitely slighted her in multiple ways. It wasn't just the LD benefits. It's across the board. They didn't give her more skills. They didn't give her enough to like actually use it. And by the way, I was watching a video of Fujin with Bart's aura up, using Bart's BT effect up. In synergy, Fujin's skill 1 was dealing a whopping 26k to each enemy.
Oh no.
So it is like she really didn't get what she needed. And if you already have an enchanter, then you're good. And if you don't have an enchanter, please go pull Ignis right now. Do not go and chase Fujin, although 9 is a great character.
I was going to say her one saving grace is that she's on the same banner as an actual good character you could pull for.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. But also, Ink, I wanted to point out what you were saying about so much universally bad info going out, like Fujin not battering on skills. I often make fun of should you pull videos when they read off of Dissidia DB, but after so many years in the community, I realized reading off of DB is actually a skill. Because there's far more people who can't read DB. So I this is my apology video to all you content creators who just read DB for you should your pulls, because what I thought was a basic human skill is actually far beyond the average DFFOO player. I apologize.
Oh my god.
That was really big of you, Mino. I'm impressed.
Savage.
Wow. Bars. Jesus Christ. I felt that.
Yeah, and for the content creators that discouraged pulling Ignis and hyped up pulling Faris, I will say that you have done a massive disservice to new players. I've been in main chord all week. People have constantly been saying, "Hey, I think I'm missing a weapon on Faris, or is her damage really that low?" Yes, her damage is really that low. And meanwhile, these people are sitting there, new players that are like, "Oh, I heard Ignis is really bad. He doesn't do anything." he doesn't do a lot, that he's not special. And here they are trying to beat Chaos with Squall, Cloud, and Garland, and are wondering why they can't beat it. So you've done a massive disservice to players that are just starting out by underhyping a very wide range support character.
Yep, same with 9.
So,
like if you're hyping Fujin plus Bartz, I mean, we're not saying this has happened, but that's why we're trying to get ahead of it now. And if you're saying get Fujin with Bartz instead of just going for 9, who could do healing, cover for the party, and big damage with range and all that other garbage. That's
Nick the Ninja. Ink says, but Ferris is an insane call.
Oh no!
She is not an insane call. Insane call is like
Cap.
Jack, Ignis, Kryl, like all the calls that we've been using that actually players have taken for granted, right? Because people are struggling with content. Like they're trying to do Terra Young on Dash, but they don't have Kryl's call, they don't have Jack's call. They don't have Ignis's call, so they can't deal they're struggling to deal weakness damage. They don't have Gao, so they have no way to deal weakness damage. And they're like, what the heck, my Terra Young combination for Dash doesn't work.
That frame poison is really making a difference.
Yeah, and also, like, you're using that call, and then you're just blocking the ability to use actual amazing calls like Jack, because all the debuff slots are now gone.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of calling us.
Yeah. It's not.
Ferris will get better when there's 8 slots. Oh, BC, you know, one thing I meant to mention, because I wasn't thinking about it, right? But the whole idea of using Ultimecia Sphere on Kadaj,
yes.
If you do that, you need 4 slots open to proc Ferris's debuff. So he's already framing 2 of them, which means that if you have any other debuff in party, the Ferris trick to frame the 70% defense down, gold frame it, with Ferris call, that actually doesn't even work.
I see.
So you have no slots left. So you literally...
I think we need another apology video.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it works, and it, especially when it gets expanded to 8, right? There's room, but like you're literally throwing on. You're gonna have 2 and 5. So you're gonna have 7 frame debuffs on the enemy, and no room. You'll have room for 1 more, which I guess could be Jack. But at that point, it feels like again another Rube Goldberg machine. Why didn't you just use a different set of calls that had?
Yeah, just do something like stuff that sounds cool is generally not. Like I brought it up, but like I never done this shit. I didn't do it. Yeah. I just never did it because I'm like, why should I? I mean, I just do something else. Don't worry about that stuff.
Yeah, it's too cute. I'm actually gonna remove it. I had it in my Kadaj notes, and just looking at Ferris's call, I was like, wait a second, this doesn't work really very well at all, and I don't want to recommend it. It's way too cute.
I remember everyone downplaying Kefka's LD and Burst. Now sudden Ferris LD gets sung to high praise. I hope you realize a lot of the people don't have original opinions. They just repeat what they hear on the grapevine, and it becomes their truth. That's really all it is. That's why the Rude has great auras. Ferris call when it's a little more valuable later down the line when we got 8 debuffs and when most of her debuffs are junk. Fujin with Bartz, that is a combo that sounds good, but in practice you could just bring a real enchanter. Like Paladin Cecil's finally like unlocked after this. Use him. I'd rather use Paladin Cecil in the party than Fujin plus Bartz. Oh god.
SiloCon says consolation is Ferris imperils 3 elements, so you just need to bring an enchanter. Moving forward, what enchanter doesn't imperil their own element? Like, when the fuck do you need to bring, like, when you need to bring 2 characters, this is why BC was shitting on the Bartz and Fujin thing, because why bring 2 characters to enchant and imperil when you can bring 1 character to this is literally a Sesame Street episode I watched with my nephew the other day, where Cookie Monster's like, why buy 2 cookies when 1 cookie is enough? Like, I don't fucking understand. Shit that my 1.5-year-old nephew is learning. Like, why are you people like this?
How have we reached Sesame Street, man?
God, I'm so fucking angry now.
It's obvious.
That's the quote
It's
of the
very
story.
clear though. Hopefully we can move people away from that, and it becomes a cute thing. That's like, hey, if you manage to pull Fujin's LD, great, you can use it with Bartz, and it's sort of cool and occasionally useful, but rarely useful. I mean, it is useful if you want to use Bartz in party, like, sure. They're good together. You don't need that, though.
We're not saying it works. We're just saying, like, if you're in a competition for limited resources, like, I know all of y'all already got Paladin Cecil, so you're not fainting to bring Fujin plus Bartz places, bruh. Just like if you're gonna advocate for it, do it. Show me. Do it consistently. But a lot of the times that doesn't pan out. Oh my God, Sesame Street! I love it. That was almost as good as blinking in Braille. That was probably my
stupidest thing you could have ever said.
Oh,
I'm not
an idiot.
The only flaw is I'm not sure. Like 2 cookies is like that is really special. Like I would love 2 cookies right now, and 1 cookie I would look at and be happy, but 2 cookies.
I didn't ask you what you ate today.
I actually ate healthy.
Not cookies. No wonder you're fiending for them. I get it.
Yeah. Miso glazed salmon with cauliflower rice and asparagus.
Silo Khan saying, I'm just trying my best to get the use out of Ferris now instead of just later. No. Like, we're talking theoretically. If you love Ferris and you pulled
obviously.
Ferris and you can find use for Ferris, like what BC was saying was that Ferris's call is only good if you probably ignore, like, Cryo Jack, Kurosame, etc. But there are people like that who don't have those calls and used Ferris a lot. That's why Ferris got hyped as a call in JP, because those people missed Jack or they missed the other ones, and Ferris is a good alternate.
Yeah.
There's
Also,
nothing wrong. Yeah, go ahead, Ink.
She applies Enchanting Dance first. So even if you have 5 debuffs, you'll still get her very powerful, very relevant LD debuff on the enemy. But I think people are overhyping the 70% defense debuff on her call, because a lot of times it's not going to get applied, or it's just not going to get applied, and it's going to lock you out from other stuff. You're not always going to see it. Like I watched a bunch of Ferris videos where she was used as a call, because we note it when in our Lufenia research. We notate now which calls were used, and I specifically looked up Ferris calls, and I feel like I watched 10 videos, and I think I counted in 7 of them the defense debuff didn't even get applied. They were already maxed out on debuffs.
Dumb English playing JP players who can't read debuff names probably think defense up.
Oh,
probably
for sure,
guilty.
right? But,
probably guilty here.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying. I just think it's being overhyped for the defense debuff. That's all.
I mean, people already play it, so it is what it is. Does Gabrant
yeah,
have better
but
debuffs?
It gets better.
As Gabrant's good debuffs are his HP up debuff landing when you already have 5 frames active. That's Gabrant's good debuff. Was Neclord, were you saying something? Or somebody saying something? No.
I mean, I was just going to say, as someone, I championed Ferris for a while. The main reason being the aesthetics. I think people are really overlooking the fact that pirates are awesome, and that's why you should probably pull for Ferris. But it's just not going into conversation.
Golbez is not in an hour, Amir.
Golbez is tomorrow?
Yes, Golbez is in a day and an hour. You have been misled, sir. I'm so sorry. Calm your hype down. Tomberry Troop Premium Cookies now? Is that a... Oh, God. What is...
Hell yeah.
What is this monster? It's
3 cookies. For anybody that wants to skip Golbez, I have been trying to do timings using Kuja LD instead of Golbez LD on like other fights that have 2.5 million HP. If you decide that you don't want to pull Golbez for whatever reason, he definitely makes farming a lot easier. But if you do have Terra, you can use Terra. You have to do 25 extra runs if you're max rank and you have Moogle Pass. If you use Terra with 2 synergy characters, you need to do 100 runs. But you will get through with comparable time, total time spent, because Terra does speed up the fight because she deals 2.1 million damage in a turn.
Oh, speaking about quickness of fights, not really, but the challenge quest, I forgot to mention this in my poll plans video. The challenge quest for Alex and Nine's Lost Chapter are actually kind of hard So if you ain't got everybody kitted out, it might be a little tricky. I remember specifically Alex's had a lot of HP. It felt like that fight took forever. And Nine's challenge quest, I remember almost getting killed frequently. And if I didn't have Nine, like it felt like it had insane brave damage reduction in the challenge quest. So everyone listening to this, don't let it blindside you. Also, if you're listening to this, you should like the video because I forgot to remind everyone to do that. I know all y'all in chat, just go over there and hit it for me real quick. I want to see the likes go up. Thanks for making me feel better for skipping Ferris after Ignis ate all my tickets. Yeah, dude. Yeah, for real, you ain't missing out on much. I mean, she was a good call for the last wave of Transcendent too, and she's a good defense down alternative. And when we get more slots, you can stack more with Jack's debuff and other things. But right now, just all right. I mean, a decent defense down if you ain't got Jack, but there's a lot of setup costs associated with it. So yeah, don't feel too bad.
There are definitely fights that do brave gains after the enemy acts. Like every turn they take, they get a huge brave gain, and you have to keep breaking them. So Ferris will be great there. And I have seen a lot of. I actually found way more Ferris out of synergy runs, like in the main party. I found a lot more than I expected to find. People really liked using her. They found a lot of utility in her, but they had to bring the guns next to her. So she's running alongside Tifa and other characters that are doing most of the work in Fujin's utility, because that's really why you put her on the squad, right? That's why you put her on your main team, is you want that utility.
Excalibur says, shout out to Excalibur, by the way, great guy. It irks me that I want to push back on you on this, by the way, but people hype Ferris on the basis of 70% defense down debuff, but a character like Vincent, who has a slightly higher defense debuff overall, gets passed. Never look at the character, just look solely on one aspect of their kit. Now, the difference between Ferris and Vincent in that regard is that Ferris can call and get the defense down. So I don't think that's an apt thing to say. However, you are right that people tend to just look at one aspect of their kit. It's like I mentioned when I was talking about Palom earlier. And Palom has a really high damage ceiling. It can pump out a lot. But because he's not popular, he's not hyped, you can see him in a lot of YouTube videos, it's going to be he's just a damage dealer. But then immediately after, Tifa is also just a damage dealer. But, she's got the sauce. So, I mean, I hope you're not looking for consistency in a group of NPCs who just regurgitate the same things.
It's like when people say Stroggo's just a damage dealer, but then Squall got hyped up pretty strongly.
Yeah, right?
It's not consistent at all. It's pretty wild.
Silocons brings up a really good point. I'm going to steal this for the podcast tomorrow. Is that Jack, has the defense down, what is 50% compared to Ferris's 70%?
Yeah.
The brave damage up, and it bypasses bosses that are immune to defense down, because Ferris is a very generic defense down. More than not. So very good point out there, Silos. You're right. Yeah. Ferris is a piece of shit. Just use Jack, and I'm going to steal that for the podcast.
So I got a bit of a question, because I remember when I first started hearing the hype for Ferris LD, I looked it up and saw the call and was like, oh cool, people must be excited because of this like reduce brave to 0 effect, which I don't really hear a lot of people talking about it. Was it all the defense was where the defense down was where the hype was coming from?
That's what I was saying, and I also have that in my notes for the podcast tomorrow too. Fucking Blart, you spoiler. But the thing is, like, that's what we were literally talking about in the TCC mod channel, where I was like, why is everyone talking about the attack down and the defense down when Ferris says the technical insta break, right, reducing enemies to 0 and then guaranteed brave hit after the break, and the reduction to 0, those are far more unique and far more useful than some generic ass 70% defense down that, again, Jack can do better. 50% defense down and 30% brave damage up is far better than just 70% defense down.
And,
like, so stupid.
And do you know the best part? Like, everyone's hyping up that attack down or whatever. But I swear to God, I used her in Transcendence, and like even if those like parrot fuckers get a turn, they're one shotting you. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
doesn't fucking matter.
But to answer your question, Blart, very good question, is that once again, people can't read. So the
they don't have their own opinions.
Ferris's debuff, even on the infographic, I looked at the Tonberry Troop infographic. That debuff is the list of debuffs is 12 lines long, and the first line says attack down 70%, and the second line is defense down 70%. So they hear, oh, Ferris's debuffs are very strong, so that's all they see. line 12 is where it says reduces enemy brave to 0 if it doesn't break after enemy turn. Nobody reads that far. That's at least third grade, and nobody realistically makes it that far.
Yep, pretty much.
I feel like the takeaway here is we really need the devs to read, or someone here needs to start watching more Sesame Street.
Well said. Very well said. On that note, I think we can start wrapping up. I want to get everyone's closing thoughts because we are over an hour. Let's go down the line on Discord if I can find the server because I've... okay, let's start with Neclord. Let's go bottom up.
So anyway, about those Umbral calamities. So basically...
Okay. I wish I could mute people.
No. Stop. No FF14 talk.
I think another one is needed right now.
I love how you got
those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts.
Okay.
I actually agree with you, Alfie. I've been saying for days that there needs to be a purging of DFFO content creators. We need fresh blood in here. The old guard needs to retire.
Yeah, hey, that includes you, motherfucker. Make your own channel. Hey, chat right now and in the comments afterwards. I want the highest chat. I want the chat to all say, Mino, make a goddamn YouTube channel. If you don't want to curse, say, Mino, make a YouTube channel. I need that to be in all the comments. He needs to see this. He needs the reinforcement to get off his lazy ass and make his own fucking content and stop leeching off other people's shit. All right. Anyways, Mino, closing thoughts.
No, I'm done.
Okay, good. Fuck you. Ink.
Careful of the Golbez Shiju polls that were going around. They have a lot of misinformation. If you want to make your farm faster, he only needs his LD.
Don't blue him, please.
Bartz. What?
Don't blue him to farm, please.
Yeah, don't blue his armor.
I know you see those
farm.
shiny fucking materials. Don't do it.
It
don't
does
be like
not speed you up. I mapped it out. The blue armor does not speed you up whatsoever. So ignore that. But yeah, avoid what people are saying. If you want to farm Alex efficiently and probably do the challenge quest, consider throwing some tickets at Golbez and grabbing him. And perhaps the people that trash Golbez, consider whether you should continue getting your DFFO information from them.
Yep, agreed. I mean,
Sorry.
Golbez is going to be real helpful for Nine's Lost Chapter Lufenia just by basis of him being a dark damage dealer. It's you can't really go wrong with him. Okay, Blart, closing thoughts.
As a favor to a friend, I'm going to say skip June, save for Reigns, listen to Ink, and whoever it was that was going to throw 50 or 200k, whatever. If you do end up mixing your gems and your tickets, just don't tell Ink. We don't want him riding his high horse and telling us.
If you mix but don't tell anybody, it never really happened.
I have a low horse, no high horse, low horse.
Shut up. Mino, what are you saying?
I said ping Ink on Discord. Yeah. Why are you being such a hypocrite? BC's out here saying if you mix, don't tell Ink, and he posts like screenshots of people mixing all the time and pings Ink on Discord. Like just ping Ink on Discord. That's our hobby on TCC. We just ping him whenever we see mixing.
That's true.
Also, shout out to the idiot who kept spamming Twitch chat saying to stop free polls. You might be donkey of the week. No, donkey of the month. Why? He was going nonstop. Oh my god, that was dumb. I know if you were watching the stream, I know you all saw that. Like, I'm surprised they didn't ban him. They should have hired me as a mod if I could. Oh god, that was annoying. Anyways, Alfie, closing thoughts.
I guess just want to say what I said earlier about Lufenia Plus. At the start of it's rough, but it gets easier later on. As a matter of fact, I even hear people saying right now that Lufenia Plus is easy. And if it was such a doomsday thing that happens, I don't think I'd be hearing that Lufenia Plus is easy.
It's going to be real interesting when Lufenia Plus specifically pulls up in Global, because at least early Chaos was dumb. But like Lufenia Plus got blown out of proportion, and people were like, why did JP overhype this? We are specifically on record saying calm that shit down. So if you ain't figured it out by then, I mean, I don't.
You have a good theory though, BC, which you should restate, which is that the reason there's so many complaints is probably because there's so many players who weren't around for the previous difficulty jumps.
Yeah. I need to make my all caps video saying Reigns was usable
Those people
after his
haven't done like the Neil Lost Chapter or Lena EX stages.
Yeah.
Or Garland's Event Chaos or Ulti's Event Chaos. Yeah. Okay, and my closing thoughts are Fujin sucks. Jesus, what else?
Varus sucks.
Ferris is getting overhyped as a call. Don't pull Fujin just to go with Bartz, you goofies. Don't don't blue Golbez. Other than that, Tifa's hype. Someone saying something? Go ahead.
I'd say in general, don't just pull for someone for a call. I'd say stick to who you want to pull for to use in your party, and then rock whatever call you have.
There's exceptions to that, like Kurasame. Pull Kurasame for his call. I'm fully on board the Jack train now. There are a few exceptions to that. Like there's some calls that kind of sound good on paper, but aren't very useful in practice. But I think Kurasame, Jack, Gabranth are kind of staples. So I think they're okay. I think there's some nuance to that statement. So I used to be on that side, but I'm not there anymore because I use Kurasame.
I've been there since the beginning, and I still stick to it.
All right. I mean, this is a man with conviction. Stick to your guns. That's what it is.
Can't you purple Gabranth and get his base call, and it still gives 10%
HP
damage?
You don't get the double
you
tap.
don't even need it still.
Well, with the Zelda,
yeah, you can double tap it, but
sometimes the double tap is crucial.
True.
Yes, and also closing thought, like the video if you haven't done it already. You can find me and all these guys and these idiots on the TCC Discord. Thanks to Mark for giving me a platform as always. Great server, reasonable people in here. Barely any hot takes, unless Neclord's talking. I think that's it. We had 6 people on today, and Yoshi Pasta wanted to get on, and I'm sorry because there was too much coming in today, and I think I need to revisit how I do things because I know people like to talk on here. So, Alfie, Blart, thanks for coming through. I'm not blaming you guys for getting crowded today, but I think I might need to revisit how I do this.
If you didn't want me to join, I just wouldn't have.
No, because I did want you to join, but I did want you both. But I'm gonna try and think about maybe. I mean, I still haven't taken the time to think about an intro yet, so yeah, gonna try and have Yoshi Pasta next week if I can. And that note, subscribe to all these idiots. You can find their details. Hit us up on the TCC Discord. I'm going to end the stream in 5 seconds. Have a good night, you all.